good afternoon, and welcome to the second episode of Texas Encounters and Mysterious Sightings. I'm your host, Lieutenant. Now, let me start off by saying thank you to everybody who watched the pilot episode. We got so many views in the first few days, and that couldn't have been possible without all of you, and I just want to say thank y'all for your support. Now, a few days ago, I was contacted at around 10 p.m. by a lady who had had an encounter in the early 1980s. And this encounter happened in the same little town where my property is located. And this encounter happened in the far back corner where it is the darkest in this little town. And she wanted to share with me her encounter of what happened because she found out about the page and she thought that she should share this with me to put her encounter out there and let everyone know that in that little town there is something truly terrifying out there. So, of course, everyone knows anonymity is our biggest concern. We will not disclose the location, and we will not disclose the eyewitness's true name. So for the sake of this encounter, we're going to call her Jennifer. And now it's time for her encounter. So this encounter happened in the early 1980s in this little town. And where her house was located was in the far back corner, which is down the road about half to 3/4 of a mile, at most a mile, from where the golf course is. She had the corner lot at the very edge, and she had a house where her back porch faced a stretch of woods. So she's at home one night, and it's about 7 o'clock. And she gets a call from a friend asking if she could babysit for a few hours. And Jennifer says, sure. I don't mind. Just bring her on by. What made her say sure is that the little girl she was babysitting is 10 years old. So that really made it real easy for her to babysit, because of course a 10-year-old can keep themselves busy. So her friend brings the 10-year-old by. It was about 7:30. And she said that, they're going to be gone a few hours. They shouldn't be out no later than midnight. And she said, no, that's fine. Just, I'll be up, and when you're ready to come pick her up, come pick her up. They said, okay, we'll call you when we're on the way. We'll call you from the place we're at and tell you we're on the way. She said, okay, that's fine. So, the little girl goes into the house. They eat a little bit of dinner, and the little girl asked if she could go play on the back porch. Now, this house was built in the 60s. So it had a back porch with lots of windows. It wasn't a screened in porch like what you see now. So, Little girl goes out there, and it's probably about 8:30, maybe close to 9 o'clock. She's out there in the porch playing, having a good time. And she happens to look out one of the porch windows, and she sees something unbelievably huge. So she screams. Jennifer comes running into the back porch. What is it? What is it? What's wrong? What's wrong? And the little girl says, there's something outside in the back. It is big. I don't know what it is, but it's walking toward the house. So Jennifer looks outside the back window of that porch and sees something on 4 legs that's huge walking toward the house. She didn't know what this was. She had no idea what it could be. But she said it was on 4 legs and it was slowly walking straight toward the house. So she turns on her outside light. When she turned on her outside light, she said this creature stood up bipedal. From all 4s, this creature stood up bipedal. And she said it had to be every bit of 7 foot tall. And when this thing stood up, she said it let out a low growl that made her hair stand straight up. Now at this point, she tells the little girl, go in the house. Go in the house and close the door. So the little girl goes into the house, but instilled with fear, she didn't close the door. So Jennifer proceeds to make sure all the windows are locked while this thing is sitting there looking at her, growling. And when this thing stopped growling, it turned to the left and started running bipedal. Now at this point, she feels fear and she is nervous. She said she was shaking. She didn't know what to think of this. She didn't know what it was. She knows there's no creatures out there, or there's no animals out there that can stand up on 2 legs and run like this creature ran. Because she said when it ran, it was gone. Just with that much speed. So after this thing ran, she went inside, locked all the doors, and shut all the windows. Now, close to midnight, this little girl's parents came to pick up their daughter. And when Jennifer walked the daughter outside, the parents could see that there was something obviously wrong with Jennifer, as she looked distraught. And they asked her, hey, are you okay? What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. She goes, there's nothing wrong. I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. So obviously not telling the parents what she saw, thinking that if I tell them, they're going to think I'm completely crazy. So they took the daughter home. Jennifer went back inside. And she said for the rest of the night, she didn't go to sleep. She said she was too scared to fall asleep, thinking that maybe, what if this thing comes back? What if it tries to get in the house? Mind you, she lives alone. She was single at the time. She lived alone. And she didn't own a weapon. She didn't own a gun. So she told me that that was the only time that she seen this creature. She lived there another couple of years and she moved out of that town. She didn't tell me for what reason. I didn't ask. But when I talked to her, I could hear the fear in her voice. She was so compassionate about what she told me. And when she told me this encounter, I thought it was really terrifying for her to see something like that. Because not many people see something like that. Very few people ever come across an encounter like that. A visual encounter. And then to see this creature stand up from 4 legs and 2 legs, growl and take off running with much, much speed, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I talked to her for just a little bit longer after she told me the encounter. And I told her if there's anything that she needs, if she ever needs to talk to, please contact me. And she told me, and these are her words, "I understand you're investigating the woods by the reservoir." I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she told me, "I just want to tell you that there is something out here, and to please be careful wherever you go out here, because there is something out here, and I'm sure it is still out there, and it is scary." So this was her encounter. This was really, really terrifying. I got goosebumps when she told me this. And I do think she is a credible eyewitness. Like I said, from the compassion and fear in her voice, I have no reason not to believe her. So this was her encounter. I'm going to leave this with y'all. Now, before I go, I just want to give you all an update on my property. Last night, I was at my property, me and my 16-year-old son, and we had got out there probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and decided to walk in the woods to see if we could find any evidence. We found a little bit of evidence. We found a huge bent over tree structure in an arch. The top of the arch had to have been at least 10 foot. I do got picture evidence of that. My son's standing under it. He's 5'6". It was considerably taller than he is. We also got audio. And we also heard something in the woods walking toward us while we were doing tree knocks by the wood line. And let me tell you, y'all, this next part, as we were walking back to the front of the property, because of hearing these large footsteps coming toward us, we decided to walk backwards up the road, never turning our back to the woods. And we saw a large set of eyes high off the ground. So we had something out there on the property last night. Couldn't explain it, but it was there. And I just wanted to give y'all a little update on that. Of course, y'all, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Also, subscribe to True Encounters with Marvin Allen in the Doug Pack on YouTube. Remember, Wednesday and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Eastern Time, y'all. Marvin has a Q&A live stream that you can come on and share your encounters or talk about any cryptid, paranormal, anything. We do a little bit of everything. And if you'd like to come on, please get in contact with us. And if you'd like to share your encounter, you can call in and share your encounter. If you don't want to share your encounter publicly on the chat, then you can contact Marvin and tell him the encounter and he will share it for you. Your real name or your location will never be disclosed. Everything will be kept safe, and this is a place where you can come and tell your encounter, not be judged, ridiculed, or mocked in any way. We are one big happy family. We treat everybody like family, and if you want a place to come and talk, this is the place to do it. Now that's all the time we have for today. I just want to say thank y'all for giving the pilot episode so many views, and that is the most important thing. Giving that pilot so many views showed me that y'all wanted a second episode, and hopefully there'll be more and more episodes to come. But this is the second episode, and again, thank y'all. And I will see you next time. This is Lieutenant, signing off.